Matt from Chicago. While looking into some of the history of African Americans in WWE, I came across a more recent interview with Mark Henry where he discussed the silverback gimmick and how he flat out refused to do it, stating that he couldn't in good faith accept the role for the sake of his children. Can you explain this silverback gimmick? What was it all about? When did they pitch it to Mark Henry, and why did he turn it down? And was there any backstage heat on him for turning it down? Well, I assume what you're talking about here is the Huffington Post interview he did a few months ago. What happened is he had just returned from one of his many injuries that Mark Henry has had, and they started referring to him as the silverback. This was in 2007, I think. I'm pretty sure it was 2007. A silverback, for those who don't know, is an adult male gorilla. So when you refer to somebody who happens to be black as a gorilla, you can understand why that may be upsetting to him. And they try to play it up like, well, the silverback is the most vicious primate, so, it's Mark Henry is the king of the jungle and all this stuff. You can't ignore the racial overtones to calling somebody silverback. You can't. You could pretend, well, it's not intended that way, Mark, you see. No, that doesn't work. I don't care what anybody says. It had to be a rib on the guy. I mean, look at all the shit he's had to deal with over the years. Literally. He may have literally eaten shit one time. Sean Waltman tells the story about somebody taking a crap in Mark Henry's sandwich backstage, and he swears it wasn't him, although Waltman has a history of shitting in other people's stuff, so who the hell knows. But supposedly Henry told people, don't eat my sandwich, and he went to the ring for a match, came back, ate the sandwich, completely oblivious to the fact that someone left him a gift inside. That's where the famous line comes from the DX parody of The Nation on Raw when X-Pac wore blackface. He was pretending to be Mark Henry. He was Mizark. Remember that? Mizark Henry. And he said, tastes like shit, but I think I'll eat it anyway. That's where the line comes from. I think Ken Shamrock did a whole bunch of interviews months ago, because all the headlines on the wrestling sites were, Ken Shamrock shoots on Triple H. So I read some of these interviews. And he claimed that his heat with Triple H was because Triple H had something to do with what happened. I don't know if Triple H was the one who, did the deed, or maybe X-Pac did, but Triple H was part of it in some way. And he ratted him out. So that's what Shamrock had claimed. He probably told Mark, hey, listen, Hunter had something to do with it. But anyway, they put Mark Henry with Mae Young, who gave birth to a hand. They aired the segment where he fondled a transvestite. He was shocked to find out she had a penis. I mean, it's not like they haven't fucked with the guy before. And why would you want to fuck with a guy like Mark Henry anyway? You're a supposed world's strongest man. I enjoyed the sexual chocolate stuff because it was funny. But, I mean, shouldn't that guy be booked like a monster? I mean, they've tried how many times over the years to book him like one. It's like they wake up and it's like, well, what we're doing with the guy isn't working. Let's book him as a monster. And they do it, and then he either gets hurt or it doesn't work. So then he goes back to being a joke. And then one day, hey, let's book him like a monster again. That's why the booking of Mark Henry over the years is so similar to Kane. Kane has been way more protected than Mark Henry, but it's no different with Kane. Kane is great because he can play any role you want him to. 47 years old, 48, whatever he is, and still working full time. He's working house shows, TVs, pay-per-views. Say what you want to about Kane, and his matches may not be that good these days, but I give that guy a lot of credit. I have a lot of respect for Kane. Because he's a big guy, too. A lot of big guys, their knees, they don't last as long as he has. But Kane's been around forever. How many frickin' times has Kane been treated like a joke or relegated to a tag team feud, a mid-card feud, and then one day it's like, we need a monster. Let's bring out the demon. He puts the mask back on, and all of a sudden he's a main eventer again. He's main eventing pay-per-views against John Cena. He's wrestling CM Punk. It's unbelievable. Mark Henry, it's very similar. They tried so many things with him over the years. So many things they should not have done, including comedy, which worked for a little bit. And then one day it's like, well, let's try booking this guy as a monster. It's like, really? No shit. You should have been doing that from day one. But, they turned him into a monster. It finally started working with the Hall of Pain stuff a few years ago. He won the world title. But how many years was he under contract before they finally figured that out? I sometimes wonder, a guy like Andre the Giant, this revered character in wrestling history. He's in the opening of every show. They had a battle royal in his honor this year with a giant statue at WrestleMania. They built a giant bronze statue of him that sits in Titan Tower whenever you walk into the lobby. You know, it just goes to show you how much the company has changed. If a guy like Andre came along today, and I'm not talking broken down, barely able to move Andre from the late 80s. I'm talking late 70s, early 80s Andre who could go, he could move around. If he came along today, you know damn well within 6 months they'd have him dancing in the ring with Hornswoggle or the fucking Bunny Rabbit. Years ago, they protected guys like that. They made them feel larger than life. Now they got 3 hours to fill every single week, and we need comedy so nobody gets over.